The fluorescent lights of the law office buzzed softly, casting a pale glow over the room. A dozen people sat in stiff chairs around a mahogany table, eyes darting toward one another, some filled with anticipation, others with greed. Among them was a man who didn't quite fit in with the polished shoes and tailored suits surrounding him. His name was Daniel Carter, a single dad, dressed in a worn-out jacket and faded jeans, his calloused hands resting on his knees. Life had not been gentle to him. His wife had passed away 3 years ago, leaving him to raise their daughter, Lily, on his own. He worked 2 jobs. One as a janitor at a downtown office building, another at a grocery store stocking shelves at night. Today, he wasn't here to claim riches. He was here because his estranged father, whom he hadn't spoken to in over a decade, had passed away. The man who had walked out on him and his mother when Daniel was just 10 was now gone, leaving behind whispers of wealth. Daniel didn't expect anything. He came only because of a letter from the lawyer. Maybe, just maybe, there was something for Lily. A piece of closure, if nothing else. At the head of the table, the attorney, a tall man in a gray suit, cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, as executor of Mr. Robert Carter's estate, I will now read the will. Daniel glanced at the people around him. His father's second wife, dressed in pearls and a silk dress, smirked as if she already knew the outcome. Her grown sons, Daniel's half-brothers, sat beside her, exchanging eager looks. They had lived the life Daniel never had. Private schools, vacations abroad, cars on their 16th birthdays. The lawyer began reading. The mansion, the properties, the businesses, all to be divided among the second family. As each item was listed, Daniel sat quietly, unsurprised. He knew this was coming. He had been forgotten long ago. Then, the lawyer paused. To my son, Daniel Carter. Heads turned. The room grew tense. Daniel straightened, not out of excitement, but confusion. The lawyer continued. I leave the sum of $1. Silence. Then came the laughter. His half-brothers burst into chuckles, one of them muttering, guess that's about what he was worth to Dad. Even the stepmother covered a smile with her gloved hand. Daniel felt his cheeks flush. He lowered his head, gripping his knees tighter. $1. That was all. But then the lawyer unfolded a small envelope. Along with this dollar, Mr. Carter requested that his son be given this letter. He slid it across the table. Daniel picked it up, his hands trembling slightly. The envelope was old, yellowed at the edges, the handwriting unmistakably his father's. For a moment, the laughter around him faded into background noise. He tucked the envelope carefully into his jacket pocket. The meeting ended, and the heirs walked out, their smug laughter trailing behind them. Daniel lingered. When he stepped into the cool air outside, he pulled the envelope out, leaning against the brick wall of the office building. Slowly, he opened it. Inside was a folded note, and something else. The note read, Daniel, if you're reading this, it means my time has ended. I know I failed you. I wasn't the father you needed. I can't undo that, but I can leave you something more valuable than money. You'll find it in the safety deposit box at First National Bank, Box 117. The key is taped inside this letter. I hope one day you'll understand. Dad. Daniel stared at the tiny brass key taped to the corner of the paper. His chest tightened. Why hadn't his father just left him something clear? Why this mystery? For a moment, he thought about tossing it. But then he remembered Lily, bright-eyed, only 10, always asking about the grandfather she never met. Maybe this was for her. The next morning, after dropping Lily at school, Daniel walked into First National Bank. His worn shoes squeaked on the marble floor as he approached the counter. The clerk looked skeptical when she saw the key, but after checking some files, she guided him to a small private room. Inside, the manager brought out a narrow metal box labeled 117. Daniel sat at the table, his heart pounding. He unlocked the box and slowly lifted the lid. Inside wasn't cash. No gold. No jewelry. Just a stack of old notebooks bound with a leather strap. Confused, he untied the strap and opened the first notebook. His breath caught. They weren't random journals. They were filled with sketches, designs, and handwritten notes, blueprints of inventions. Pages upon pages of mechanical diagrams, prototypes for machines, concepts for renewable energy devices. His father's handwriting detailed every idea. And then, tucked inside the back cover, was a letter of introduction addressed to someone named Charles Donovan, CEO of Donovan Industries. Daniel's eyes widened. Donovan Industries was a household name, one of the biggest tech and energy companies in the country. He flipped the page and found more: patents, pending approvals, drafts of contracts never filed. His father hadn't left him money. He had left him a legacy. But was it real? Or just the ramblings of a man he barely knew? That night, Daniel sat at his kitchen table, the notebooks spread before him. Lily came out of her room, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, why are you still awake?" He smiled faintly, pulling her onto his lap. "Just reading something from Grandpa." She pointed at the sketches. "Did he make those?" "Yes," Daniel whispered. "He made these." Something in him shifted. Maybe his father had left him nothing material, but he had left him possibility. The next day, Daniel took a leap he never imagined. He called Donovan Industries. Of course, the receptionist brushed him off, assuming he was just another dreamer. But something in his voice must have carried weight, because a week later, he got a call back. "Mr. Carter, the CEO has agreed to a short meeting. 20 minutes. Bring what you have." Daniel borrowed his neighbor's old suit. It didn't fit perfectly, but it was the best he had. With trembling hands, he carried the notebooks into the glass skyscraper downtown. In the top-floor office, Charles Donovan sat behind a massive desk. He was a man in his 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He glanced at Daniel, then at the notebooks. "You said these belonged to your father?" Donovan asked, flipping open a page. "Yes, sir," Daniel said quietly. For a long time, Donovan read in silence. Then his eyes narrowed, his expression shifting. He leaned forward, studying the diagrams intently. Page after page, his face grew more serious. Finally, he set the notebook down. "Do you have any idea what you're holding?" Daniel shook his head. "These are not just ideas. These are solutions, years ahead of their time. Renewable energy models, turbine efficiency, sustainable engines. Your father was a genius." Daniel's throat tightened. Donovan continued, "Some of these concepts, we've been chasing them for decades. If half of this can be engineered, it could change everything." Daniel sat there stunned. All the laughter, the mocking at the will reading, it echoed in his mind. They had seen only $1, but hidden inside was something far greater. "Mr. Carter," Donovan said, "I'd like to propose something. Bring me everything. Work with my team. Let's see this through. Not just for business. This could impact millions of lives." Daniel swallowed hard. "I'm no engineer, sir. I'm just a janitor." Donovan leaned back, a rare softness in his eyes. "Then you'll be the janitor who carried his father's dream into the world. Sometimes, that's all it takes." For the first time in years, Daniel felt hope stir. Not for himself, but for Lily, for her future. Weeks turned into months. Engineers at Donovan Industries pored over the notebooks, developing prototypes. Daniel came to every meeting, sitting quietly, listening, learning. He wasn't just a bystander. He was the bridge between his father's forgotten genius and the world that needed it. One evening, after another long meeting, Donovan pulled Daniel aside. "I wanted you to know, we're filing patents under your name, as your father intended. You and your daughter will be secure." Daniel blinked back tears. That night, he tucked Lily into bed. She hugged him tight. "Daddy, Grandpa didn't forget you, did he?" Daniel smiled through the lump in his throat. "No, sweetheart. He didn't forget us at all." And for the first time in his life, Daniel realized that sometimes an inheritance isn't about money at all. It's about the legacy hidden where no one else thought to look.